To the United Kingdom now, where the two main political leaders took part in a debate last night. The first between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer since the writ was dropped. The debate proved to be a very heated affair, as the Conservative leader tries to make up a 20-point deficit in the polls, and as the Labour leader tries to maintain a lead that, if the numbers hold true, will give Labour a landslide victory, delivering even more MPs than Tony Blair did when he was swept into power back in the late 90s. Here's just a taste of what happened last night.
He said it's their policy to get rid of inheritance tax. That's £10 billion. He says he's going to get rid of tax on pensioners.
You're just talking nonsense. But just answer the specific question. We have committed, I can tell you...
Thank you, not over each other. Thank you, not over each other.
No, but we've committed to the triple lock plus. Under us, the state pension will never pay tax. Under you, there's a retirement tax coming.
Well, to talk about last night's debate and the British campaign, we're now joined by veteran journalist Ann MacMillan, former London bureau chief for both CTV and CBC News. Ann, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Michael.
Listen, I want to begin here with Keir Starmer. You know, the Labour leader does enjoy a healthy lead in the polls, double-digit. But when I was reading the news reports today, I saw a couple describing him as looking nervous last night. What does it say about the concerns he may have about the July 4th vote and the campaign still to be fought?
I was watching the debate, obviously, and I wouldn't say nervous so much as cautious. As you said, the Labour Party is way ahead in the polls, 42% compared to 22% for the Conservatives. If Labour, continues on this upward movement, they will have the biggest majority in their history, and the Tories, if they do as badly as expected, will do worse than they've ever done in over 100 years. So he has everything to play for, Michael, and he is just taking it very, very safe.
Okay, very safe. As for the Conservative leader, he seemed very much focused on issues like the economy, migrant security. What does that say about the path the Conservative leader, Rishi Sunak, sees as possibly returning him back to 10 Downing Street? Yes, he's behind the polls, but he seemed to have a very clear narrative last night.
Yeah, he really came out punching, which is sort of not like him. He's usually rather mild and polite, but he was quite aggressive last night. And he is... One of his big things last night was warning that if Labour gets in, people's taxes are going to go up. He kept mentioning a figure, £2,000 for every household. There's been a lot of debate about that today because nobody can quite figure out where that £2,000 came from. And the fact is that Labour has said that they will not raise taxes if they're elected. And it was interesting that Starmer didn't really start complaining about that £2,000 until Sunak had mentioned it about 4 times. And that's been very widely remarked on in the papers today. Mm-hmm.
So something to perhaps evolve in the days to come ahead of July the 4th. But, can we focus a little bit?
I should mention,
yes,
Michael, I should mention also, he really pushed security last night. He said the world's in a terrible state. All sorts of terrible things happening in Ukraine and Gaza and elsewhere. And he said, the Tories do have a very good record on security. Labour's been a bit all over the place on security over the years. And Sunak reminded voters that Conservatives have promised to increase spending on defence.
Okay, so security, another big issue. And one that I wanted to focus on a little bit, if you don't mind, is about the migrant issue. Because I wonder how much of a controversy or a wedge issue that is right now in the UK, because it was raised last night by Rishi Sunak. Is this something to consolidate the Conservative base and perhaps sway swing voters?
I don't think so, because both parties, Labour and the Conservatives, are saying we have got to stop out of control migration. Last year alone, about, I think something close to 700,000 immigrants came to this country. Now, that may not seem like a huge number for Canadians, but Britain has traditionally been a country that people left and went to other countries like Canada, like Australia. So having all these people coming in has really unsettled this country. The other thing that people are terribly worried about are these people who are coming over on boats from France. Very dangerous. They're coming in these little tiny rubber dinghies. There have been many deaths. They're overcrowded. They're paying smugglers huge amounts of money. And 10,000 people have come by boat alone so far this year. But both parties are saying we've got to do something about this. And the Tories have been in power for 14 years and haven't done a lot about it. So I think that the voters will see it as a huge issue, but I think it's not. Neither party is going to swing them on their their promise.
Okay. Listen, the debate was very heated last night. The two leaders trying to scream above each other from time to time, trying to attract attention, distract the audience from the other. Did that sway Britons at all? Do you think there was a clear winner last night when you watched that debate?
Yeah, I think that the general feeling was that Sunak performed better than Starmer. But it's interesting, when a poll was done right after the broadcast by the company ITV, which is like the CTV of Britain, and it polled about, I think, 1,657 people, and Sunak was considered the better performer by 51%, so only 2% more than Starmer. But it was interesting because Starmer had some quite interesting positives. He was seen to be more likable, he was seen to be more in touch with the ordinary person, and he was seen to be more trustworthy than Sunak. So that is, I think, very interesting. Let me just quickly tell you what the newspapers have said today, because there's a lot of conservative newspapers here, and they all thought that Sunak won. The Daily Mail said, "Fiery Rishi comes out swinging and lands big blow." The Daily Express says, "Kapow" on the headline. "Feisty Rishi floors Starmer over £2,000 tax rise." The Times is a bit more subdued. It says, "Labour accused of tax," as Sunak comes out fighting. Only The Guardian, which is a more left-leaning newspaper, said, "Leaders clash on migration, tax, and the National Health Service in an ill-tempered debate." My favorite comment in the papers today was by a former MP, Matthew Paris, in today's Times newspaper. He summed it up by saying, "They are divided by little, united by not really knowing what to do next."
Isn't that an interesting analysis? Listen, Ann, before you're done here, last night was a leaders' debate, but I want to talk about something that's happening later this week, because there is going to be another debate, a 7-party debate, I think organized by the BBC. Only 90 minutes set aside for the event, which, the former producer in me says that doesn't seem like enough time. But, I don't ever recall any major debate like this ever happening in Canada. What will you be watching out for? Again, 7 parties all at once.
That's right. I mean, I can list them for you if you want. It's the Conservatives, the Labour, the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, Scottish Nationalists, Welsh Nationalists, and with the most interesting from a sort of television viewer's point of view is Reform, with a man called Nigel Farage. He is the most outspoken, sort of actually annoying, if you want, to most Britons, but very popular with some. His party is saying they want zero immigration, they want to lower taxes, they want zero waiting lists in hospitals. There are currently something like 7.5 million people waiting for procedures in hospitals in this country. And it's just, I mean, they are a very, very right-wing party. They used to be the Brexit party. Anyway, so he is bound to be quite a force to be reckoned with amongst the other 6 people. And you're right, 90 minutes. Last night felt very short at 60 minutes, and both leaders were asked to keep their comments to 45 seconds. So really, it was almost like listening to sound bites rather than proper debate. So what will happen with the BBC on Friday, I have no idea, but it will be interesting and entertaining.
Well, British politics never disappoints. And thank you for this, nor do you. Thank you for the analysis, as always. Ann MacMillan in London.